So when I start the recording, I always love to have everybody say hi to Murray. So if you are on camera, especially, you could just go ahead and wave and say, hi, Murray. Thanks for our awesome platform. Thanks, guys. It's also snowing in Chicago. I hear about winter weather. I think it sounds really cozy. There's still a fair mix of our old guard and people coming over from EPM. So I'll do my best to make it Experienceify useful for everybody. So what are we going to, if I can have a couple people share, what are you working on in Experienceify, especially if you're new? If I can have two people who want to share. Jen, please do.
Great. Hi, everybody. Give me a thumbs up if my audio is okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always like a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a unique position where I have like so many ideas for my own courses, but before I can do mine, I get hired to build everybody else's. So I choose to put their course in Experienceify so I can show them all of the different features and really the importance of goals. So what I'm working on right now is a course for dentists and their teams specifically to learn how to do a new treatment of treating sleep disorders in their dental practice. So it's going to be combined with didactic training, but they need the curriculum in Experienceify. What I'm most excited about is them being able to set their own goals and go at their own pace, but yet get celebrated for going at their own pace and not have it such a passive experience. That's what I'm currently working on.
Wow.
Not doing Experienceify yet. Okay.
Okay. Jen, welcome. And I know we've chatted a little bit too through the Facebook group. If anybody is not on the Facebook group, it's a really great place to get answers to things in between these meetings. And so I encourage you to go over there if you're not. The other place would be support at experienceify.com. And yeah, I think there are so many different amazing uses for Experienceify. And what I found too, Jen, is the people who appreciate it the most are ones who have a learning development background, who are like, wow, there's nothing that really like includes that part about the doing. Because like you've mentioned, so didactic teaching is when you basically stand up in front of people and share your information. I mean, it's kind of the traditional model. And there's definitely times where we're sharing information, but then of course what we want to do in the world, it's great to hear things, but we also know, especially those of you who are coaches, that we need people to go take that and do things with it. So things like having the mission and the goals, and the opportunity to check off the different things that you've done and see yourself making progress, like, are so fundamental to all the aspects of human motivation, that a lot of the other course platforms just really sort of leave you on your own to stay motivated and engaged. And so that's what's really exciting about this platform. So thank you for sharing. We have one more person who wants to share what they're working on.
I do if nobody else does.
Go ahead.
Cool. So I haven't done anything on the platform yet. I've just been learning through EPM. I own software. And so when I saw Marissa teaching this using her software as the tool, I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to be using it to teach people how to use our software better. And then also do some other, we do mobile and social marketing.
Okay.
And our software is text marketing. So I'm hoping to like go through and really dive in deep and use that way, because most people are like, oh, that's great, and then they don't use it as much. And I'm like, I really want, and so the whole like gamification thing is so exciting, because maybe it'll get them to finish it so they can use it and bless their business better with what we do, because what we can do is like save their business, and work with a lot of restaurants. And so
oh my goodness,
encourage, yeah, it's been a thing. So
yeah.
So we're hoping that this will get them to like take the time and be excited about getting your little rewards. And I love the different ideas with the t-shirts and everything. I think that'll get them going. So I'm excited to learn all that stuff that helps them just really feel like this is an answer to their prayer.
Awesome. Yes, please save more restaurants. I want them to
Right?
be.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff for free. But and so I have this like yin and yang, like I want to help them, but they don't really value it unless they pay for it. So it's like, so we've been offering it for free, but now we're like, okay, but let's put a little skin in the game. And so hopefully with this gamification, it'll help them, really take ownership of that. And then hopefully when things open back up, they can just explode with the software we have.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And it's your course might be a little meta because part of what we'll look at today is part of the experience engine that you can trigger is SMS messages. So you can be sending messages to your people as they complete certain milestones.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like we have obviously our software sends its own messages, but
Right.
any way they get to them, I know the text will just reinforce it. So, yeah, ours is just a very simple system. It collects text and email or names, and then it goes back. There's a lot of automation, but it's really, really simple. So I'm hoping this will just be the difference for them.
Wonderful.
So thank you. I'm excited to learn.
Thank you. So the agenda for today is to talk about the experience engine a little bit. Now, if you were on the call last time, this is kind of a part two, but I will back up a little bit because I know not everybody was, and just kind of talk about what kind of prompted the experience engine that used to be called automation. So if you've been hearing about automations in the past, those are the same things. And then there have been new triggers added in the last 2 weeks with lots of cool stuff to come. Then I'll be taking some questions, and I think some of you have, I'm large, my screen is miniature. Clemmy, I think that's something you can flip around. And if you could copy it, I know a couple of you have put questions in before or just until about now, and the way that the chat threads are, it'll probably be really hard for me to find them when we get to the Q&A. So if you could just kind of copy those and resend them when we get to the Q&A, that would be awesome. Or just ask again if I don't get to you. Alrighty, so the Q&A, and then Murray sent you that great email with that really big tease about what the special announcement is. So I'm happy to be able to get to share that tonight as well. So the experience engine, and again, this is, if you were on the call last week, we did talk about this a little bit, but I'm going to review just a little bit in case people were not on that one. And so the reason that we have the experience engine, and the reason why the experience engine and celebrations are kind of the secret sauce of Experienceify, is because, and somebody alluded to this a little bit earlier, really the genesis of Experienceify was Murray and Marisa delivering their own courses and not wanting to have the same types of abandonment rates that everybody else was having. And they've continued to really advance the technology over the years. But those of us who were in their classes said, I really have to have this for my courses. And so coming out of all of this is Experienceify. And so I know some people are looking for some different things that it does, but it's very intentional that we're sticking to the things that make it unique, which is particularly really making the student experience kind of the reason to be. Lots of programs out there, or lots of the platforms out there, can actually host your content. They do a nice job of it. But we're really thinking about, so if I'm a person and I start this course and life gets in the way and I start to drift, and or I hit a really hard thing, or I have um, you know, hard decisions to make, and that takes me out of action, or I'm asked to do something that I've never done before and I get a little insecure. Those sorts of things take people out of action. And once they get out of action, we know that they don't really come back. And so, yeah, so that's what I wrote. The ugly truth. Typical courses have abandonment issues. And I think probably most of the people in Marisa's world know that. She says that, you know, about 3% of people who start a course actually finish it. So that is the all of the rationale, but it's also why we're going to keep making this even more advanced and adding different triggers, adding different playbooks. And so I will show you a couple of those right now. And I'm sorry about the back. Yeah, we want people hooked on taking action. And so some of the new triggers actually are going to allow you to re-engage people who may have drifted off, to recognize people, to send them specific messages whenever they finish a training or a module or the course. There are a bunch of different new triggers. So, you know, the net effect of this is if you put yourself in the shoes of your student, then, you know, in a typical course, you you know, you start out, and as your motivation tends to wane, you may not be hearing from your course instructor, and they may or may not be aware of what's happening for you. But the way that, you know, Murray has built this is that it's like, he calls it your personal concierge, where there's somebody that's looking for you because you have set up these triggers to go out and, you know, find the people who have dropped off, or to really give a, hey, great job, you did it, for the people that did, who are completing, you know, the trainings or the modules or the courses. Oh, I have somebody that needs to mute again. So the new triggers that we have are the training completed, the module completed, or the goal completed. And so I can show you how to set one of those up. Is there anybody that would like to go and see that? It's not much different than before, and there's a really good help article, but I'm happy to do one if you would like to go ahead and see that. So once you have an actual training created, you can come down to the experience engine. Okay, I'm reading your comments at the same time. All right, somebody needs to mute. So once you have a module created, that's a really good time to play with some of the experiences, because if they are relative to your trainings or your modules, you need to have a little bit of content in there. So one thing I will go over, we touched on this last time, but I want to show you as well. The email that goes out to users when they start your course. If you've been around for a while, this has always been the same, but it was a little more behind the scenes. And now it's actually in your experience engine. So we can take a look at that. So it's triggered. It is set up to trigger when someone joins your course. And most people should just leave this right like it is. But you can also edit that email here. Business. That is your first automation. Alrighty. So again, what I hope everybody gets out of this is that to really start thinking about how you can be communicating with students and supporting their entire student experience, um, more so than like, I think I need to go out and program a bunch of triggers, because um, if you don't have a lot of experience with things like conditional logic, you might make some things happen, like emailing somebody every day because they haven't logged in at some point, which at some point would get really annoying for people. So until you get comfortable with the start and stop triggers, you can either like go really slow, or wait for these playbooks to come out and just have more plug and play sorts of things. And having said that, if you've got some really cool ideas, we definitely want to hear about them. So I mentioned that there are new triggers, so I wanted to go in and show one of those. So for instance, training completed, if I have somebody that can completes, one, and I would say, it's not necessarily every time a training is completed. You might do this for one that is particularly difficult, for instance, because one of the things that we know is that variable rewards are really exciting to people. So it's not like, if it's your birthday every day, your birthday isn't quite as exciting as when it happens um, once a year, and maybe you get a surprise party and you weren't expecting that, and then it's really particularly an exciting experience for you, whereas um, happening every day might be a little bit much. But so yeah, it's not that we have to make everything have a celebration and an email, and so you're going to have to kind of find that Goldilocks zone of like what is still encouraging and motivating, but not so much that it loses some of its effectiveness. So they completed my training. Once you tell it to complete a training, it's going to ask you which one. This particular one only has one. So there we go. The stop trigger. Stopping is going to be a really important thing on most of these triggers, because you don't want them to go on in an endless loop forever. So that was the experience that I wanted to create. And then you get to add what happens to it. So in this case, I put a delay timer just because it was, something to show everybody. And there's various reasons that you would want to delay or not. You don't have to. I just thought it would be nice to show more than one. If you want to create just like an hour delay, then you can choose 0 days, 1 hour, update that, and then we're going to send an email. And you can fill in how to send an email on that. But if I wanted to say, something really specific to the training that they just watched, then I can either send an encouraging message, or maybe I even want to add in a little surprise or reward or something that they have earned in here. So maybe they get a link to my Acuity account and they've just earned a 15-minute check-in call with me. And I'm sure you can think of lots of other different sorts of things that you might want to add in to make your experiences special, make your learners feel special. So I wanted to say to if you just click anywhere out of here, that you can get rid of that without having to actually finish it if you decide to abandon it. So I can add a new one. And if I go through goal completed, you choose your goal. You probably only want that to run for once. And for most of you students who joined the course at any particular time. Again, and these are the things that I would go slow and test them out because much depends on your specific situation. So if I add that, then I get to go down and add a trigger. I'm sorry, not add a trigger, add the action to what we're going to do. So if I wanted to send the SMS or the email, I mean, I think email is probably going to be like a really popular option. Webhooks are more advanced. But I hope you give an idea of some of the things that you can accomplish with that. Do you have to? Okay, so back to answering some questions. And then I want to get to the surprise announcement. Let's see. I'm going to go back and start looking at the questions people had. Yes, the option to turn it off in case it got out of control. Yeah, that's where I think the playbooks are going to be really helpful for people because, like the good news is that it's going to do what you tell it to do, and the bad news is it's going to do what you tell it to do. So if you tell it to trigger, an email a day every time somebody doesn't log in, that's exactly what it's going to do. Yes, you can set up as many experiences as you like. I was just playing around with a brand new course. Yeah, there are new triggers. Do you have to manually enter the email or the name? So there are tokens in the email. So you will have to enter your text, but you can put in a token to pull in the name of the student who met the condition. Juliana, does that answer your question? Is there an option to have an event where they complete the entire module? Yes. What is a webhook? A webhook is more complicated. My way of thinking about it is if any of you have used Zapier, webhooks are like a way more complicated version of Zapier where you get things to work in between two platforms. And I would not attempt it with my level of tech knowledge. Rachel, do you have another answer besides that, what a webhook is?
On a simple level, it's a trigger that sets off a trigger to do something else. So you're telling, you're setting up a trigger that's telling another app to do something.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So like Zapier, but not
Like Zapier,
as
but more complicated.
drag and drop as Zapier.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I wasn't that far off. Thank you, Rachel. Wondering how easy it would be to add videos and downloads to get the site started. So Stephanie, can you clarify that a little bit? So you want your action after something is triggered to be a video or a download? Is that what you're looking for?
So basically, I'm just wondering, I'm putting the course on XP, but I want to give it to Murray and the team because I have a lot of work to do and I'm trying to reduce my amount of work.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give them as much as possible to get it all set up, but then I'll still be developing videos and downloads and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to know how easy it will be for me to learn how to put in the downloads and the videos is the question. How easy is it to do that?
Okay, so not related to the experience engine or anything like that, just getting set up with
for the different modules. So I'm going to put in videos and I'm going to put in the downloads, handouts. And I just saw someone else asking the same question. putting in the handouts and downloadables.
Okay.
Is that just an easy process? I'm sure it is, but I just wanted to confirm, like,
Uh,
how it's done.
Yeah, so easy I think is always relative. I find it easy, and I have some friends who find it really challenging. So I think it's, if you have some, if you would describe yourself as being, tech confident, like not like super techy, but just like, you can get around and upload things on other sites, then I think that you would have a similar time with Experienceify. I mean, it's the usual conventions for uploading and for linking that you find in most places. So, but there's definitely not anything that requires you to like be a coder or have any
Okay,
kind of
great.
advanced sorts of things.
That's
So.
what I'd like to hear. Thank
Good.
you.
We like it when people are happy. Any way to see what the goals are of a student? You know what? I saw this one recently and I don't remember the answer to that. Rachel, do you happen to know that one?
Sorry, what was the question, Laura?
So if a student personalizes their goals, can we see that?
If a student personalizes their goals. Can we see it, meaning?
Can the course
No.
creator see what the student has created their own goals to be? Can we make their goal a token? Oh, I'm going to write that one down now, Jen.
Yeah.
I think, George, we're going to have to write that one down and get back to you, because I think you've asked that on Facebook maybe, and I didn't know the answer to it.
Let me see if I can message Juan real quick and see if he has an answer.
Okay. There we go. Cassandra, what's a playbook? So a playbook is going to be more of like a drag and drop. So you are going to have, so like, a football team would have a series of plays that they run, like here's the blitz and here's the Hail Mary, and I'm making up stuff because I'm not a football person. Even though I have a 16-year-old who plays football, he's just on the offensive line and he has to stand there and be big. But so if you have these different plays, and Coach D is smiling at me like let me tell you about plays. So the different things that you would normally need to use, like a student recovery, they're just going to have a name on them, and they're going to be set up for the typical points in a course where you would want to do a student recovery, so you don't have to think about it as much or really worry about how often it repeats or when it starts, or if your student just joined, or if you're in an evergreen course and they you have rolling enrollment, and how will that impact when the trigger triggers, because that's kind of basic level programming, and there's ways for that to go wrong. The playbook should just be easy for you to install, something that does a specific outcome, and it works that way. Cassandra, is that helpful?
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I'm with a client. Okay, so I understand that it's the processes of once a client, how you want. Is it personalized? Do we personalize the playbook, or is there a playbook that we actually go and? As the first I've heard this term, so that's why I'm asking.
Sure. So
do we set it up, or is it like it's already in the system?
My understanding is that you'll just pick it up, but I think there will be, if you wanted to make it 1 day instead of 3 days, I mean, you can.
Okay, so really it's just another word for, it's the triggers, setting up the triggers for the action.
Pre-made triggers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're kind of like trigger templates. You might.
And is this new?
These do not, they're not available yet. There's something
Okay.
that Maria's still working on. One reason that I'm getting people's cool ideas, is because he's such a big thinker and really interested in, you know, what other things that you might want this to do. So,
Okay, and then my tail question to that was
Yep.
SMS. Before he was using Twilio,
Mhm.
is that already now built into the pricing, or do we have to create a Zapier to some kind of SMS?
that's, I understand it to be included,
Okay,
but I
great. That's
can
awesome.
ask.
I'm sure they have like a company relationship with them probably built into the system. And then because I've got to go to my clients, Laura, you have been such a blessing to me. Everybody, she's just so great. She's like hopped on a call with me and I'm like, I just need to have 10 minutes with you. So thank you for being a blessing to the community.
Aw,
If people don't know, I'm the person that has a inquiry in the Facebook group right now for aspirational self-actualization and more coaching type businesses that don't really necessarily have a monetized big promise for your main stretch and aspirational goals. So I am willing to hold like a mastermind once a month for us to be able to mastermind. I put in a sheet to put your names and your information in. If you guys want to do it, just raise your hand. I'd be happy to host a call. And anybody that has leadership within Experienceify, it might be helpful to have you on the call. But Laura was helpful with me to just, you know, we don't want them to just mark something off. We really want them to be passionate about the feelings that they get when they get to that stretch goal in the self-actualization industry. So anybody that wants to do that, go ahead and put your name in the sheet, and then anybody that's in leadership that wants to maybe help with the call, that'd be great too. So
thank you, Cassandra.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
as-
where is that sheet that you mentioned?
In Facebook.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you go into the Facebook feed, there's a Excel spreadsheet if you just scroll down. And then maybe somebody can tag it and put it up at the top. But if you just stretch in the feed, it's in there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and the goal is just to kind of who's had wins in this sector with their goals, and or if we can mastermind and get a set of goals that we can all share. I think a lot of them are going to be similar, but if we can get ideas going, we really have to be clear in our target goals. So that's
Yeah,
my goal.
I'm doing grief recovery, so definitely not a financial.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of us, but it's hard to really think up something that's practical, but also aspirational, and that you can actually track, right? So, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Alrighty, so I'm gonna flip back to sharing the news, and why is it not letting me get back over there? And I will stay around and answer as many questions as I can because there are a lot of them. Stop. It's not letting me. Okay, there's my PowerPoint. Alrighty. So we kind of rolled into the Q&A, and current slide. And so what I want to do is go on to the announcements. And then I will stick around and answer questions after that because I know it's really late for some people, and you didn't all get your questions answered. So let me get through this and put the chat back up so I can get really distracted by multitasking. Alrighty, so the big news is the dopamine button challenge is going to be taking place from January 18 through 31. And Marisa is going to be your personal guide for experientification of your courses. And I've got had the really neat experience of getting to preview some of the course content. And it is really your Marisa and Marie magic. It's all of the things that I think they've learned through years and years of doing this, plus being really up to speed on the science of motivation and learning. So it is going to be offered to current Experientify customers, and it costs everybody else money. So that is why it is your special end of the year gift. And to go through a little bit of what it's going to contain, it is the 10 core experiences and the experience formula and how to apply them to your particular course. There are daily quick trainings and exercises. And I know a lot of you have been through Experience Product Masterclass, and you know like how really on the money Marisa is with her trainings, and how actionable they are. So super excited about that. Live coaching every day. That might be somebody you're familiar with. And so you'll have the opportunity to ask questions and really dig into the application of what you're learning, because that is probably the most important part of all. And this will get you installing dopamine buttons everywhere, like on your children, in your car. No, I'm kidding. But really, you know, getting people to have that like, woo, I did it, you know, win, cha-ching, cha-ching, is not just for online courses or digital trainings, but it's other programs, products, and services. So you will be well equipped to be a dopamine button installer. And you'll be turning out an Experientified course if you are following along and applying all of this to your particular course. So that is the big announcement. Any thoughts about that? What is the time of those trainings? The trainings for the dopamine button challenge? Oh, yes. Oh, shoot. I had that link and I closed that button. So I'm going to stall for just a minute so I can get that back. Is it just what's covered in EPM? From what the preview that I have been able to see, I think it's a really, so I think the, you know, the experience formula is the experience formula, but the way that she's teaching it and making everything actionable in such a short amount of time is what's going to be really fresh for it. And thank you to everybody that says it sounds fabulous, because it sounds fabulous to me too. You will be getting an email, and I am going to yeah, so thank Marie and Marisa for that. And I'm going to go grab that link, and then so everybody that has to go, we're right at 6 o'clock. And as I mentioned, I will stick around and scroll back up through some of the questions that have been coming along for a while, because I know you guys have waited some of you up to 2 weeks to get everything, to get your questions answered. Julianne is super excited we can follow along as you're preparing them for your courses. That is the idea. Everything EPM is fabulous. I totally agree. You'll be a surfer in the dopamine waters. Love that. I had this picture of you guys like, you know, like the cable installer guy with like your little badge and everything. So, question about customizing the look. Jen, you've been asking about the CSS.
Yeah, I mean, I see where we can upload icons and logos, but what about the overall look, like maybe just background colors? Is that possible to do? Kind of doing like a master change of all the fonts, kind of like Heroic does, right?
So at the moment, yeah, you would have to be in charge of your own CSS, and there's an article that I can point you to. Have you seen the article and you were looking for something, a more advanced explanation?
Yeah, everything led to CSS, and I'm like, oh gosh, I know I would just screw up something if I tried CSS on my own.
Yeah. I do see more options coming in the future, but it sort of comes back to, where do we spend our time and effort right now? And I totally get that the branding and the look and feel for our students and clients is really important, but in prioritizing things, it really is more of the experientification aspects, like the celebrations and the experience engine that's on the roadmap as the next priorities. So yes, I'm sorry, I don't have um, an answer of like, it'll be ready for you at this particular time, but that's what I've got for right now. Let's see. Let me go grab when will community comments be available, like Facebook nested feed, one of the groups I serve? Yes. And so I totally understand that there are particular groups. Anybody in the medical field is not going to be able to use Facebook. I mean, you've got certain HIPAA regulations. I know I am doing a course for people who work with law enforcement officers who handle internet crimes against children and their health from all the traumatic things that they're exposed to. And in working with law enforcement people, like, they're not going on Facebook either. And I get that entirely. I know that is on the roadmap, and what I know right now is that that is a priority for January, but Marie is really wanting to build the right thing and be thoughtful and make sure that it really supports the student experience, and is something that you don't have everywhere else. So that's the last thing that I heard was that's being worked on in January. I don't have a delivery ship date for you on that. Dates. Thank you for answering that question. Let's see. Sarah, Rachel, have you found any of the Q&As that you might answer, so you could buy me a minute to go find the link to the challenge? I have to go. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah, go grab your thing and I'll scroll through these real quickly.
Thank you.
And about the question on seeing the students' course goals is not possible yet, but we have a feature request in for it. So in the future. Okay. Let me just take a look at any of these. Missed the link. Laura, did we give a link for the dopamine challenge sign up?
That's what I'm getting into Slack.
That's what you're getting. Perfect.
Right
okay.
Now. You're buying me time. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna back up and scroll, or if anybody wants to pop new comments in, go ahead. Let me see if we got all these. There it is.
Alrighty, I found it.
Colors, CSS, okay.
To tag team these. Is the playbook per course or per account? It'll be a standard feature that you'll see on all courses. Do any of the new triggers trigger celebrations? I do not see that as an option right now. Jolyn, the triggers you can put in your playbook are triggers you can select from, but you don't create your own triggers for your playbook. if I'm understanding you correctly, the triggers would be pre-selected for you. So you don't create them as much. And Rachel, you're still welcome to jump in on any of those we can knock out when we have a couple more minutes. Although I apologize for putting you on the spot, but it's really helpful.
No worries. Just posted the link for the CSS article for anyone else who wants that.
Sweet. Standard events specifically for evergreen courses. Nancy, yes, I totally see that being one of the playbooks. And then we've got some of the responses to Cassandra's group. And I really tried to turn off all of my notifications, but my MacBook doesn't
Laura,
let me do that.
I have
Yes.
another quick question. You know, I tried to link from the Facebook group to the article that Murray was pinning on the new triggers, and it just kept taking me to like the main website, and I couldn't find the blog post that he posted. Is he going to do a video on everything that's new with this whole new thing that he just wrote about? Because I can't find the article so that we understand the new triggers and the processes with them. Because I think he said he was going to do a video, but I can't find the actual blog article that goes through all of the new nuances.
Let me see. I might even have that. Available. Are there going to be videos? Yes, I'm not sure when. He'd have to slow down to make videos. And one of the interesting things is, you know, as soon as we get some screenshots in there, things change. So it'll probably be articles until the development is a little more done on that. So that link that I just put in goes through multiple articles that are done on the Experience Engine. Okay, so students to comment on the lessons as they finish them, and how can I set that up in Experienceify? That is not available yet. That would be part of the community that we talked about a minute ago. Can we have a visual bar of achieving our goal as well as for completing the course? That would be a great feature request. So I think your best bet, I mean, I'm trying to take a lot of these back, but your best bet is also to email support@experiencify.com. And so that gets put in as a request. Can you self-enter your successes or have a milestone document to trigger them or coach? Not at the moment, but I think those are fabulous and I'm adding them to my list. Milestone document trigger. Bonnie, is there a list of font families that we can use? Can you email support about that one too, unless Rachel happens to know, but I haven't come across that particular question before. About the dopamine button, if EPM would be repeating the training that this is doing. There's going to be a crossover in content. I think if you're really familiar with Marisa's work, it's not going to be as new to you as it would be for the people. You know, there are going to be a lot more people coming into Experienceify who did not come through EPM. But I think that what you'll get out of that is really the application to your specific course that you're building, and those bite-sized chunks, like really specifically about experiencifying your course. But yes, I would think there'd be some overlap. I like the question about letting students make comments about a finished module or course. Yes, I like that too, and I wrote it down. So I put the link in there to the help article on the experience engine. Althea, it was the article that you didn't get the right article, or was it the link to the challenge? Is what is available. So what is available is to have a course that starts with your particular goals and your mission. Oh, thank you. And to have your students be able to check those off and have a gamified course where they can see their progress towards those specific goals, because the other platforms that you would be looking at are basically just a way to host all of your content without your student really being able to know how they're making progress towards those things. So that's getting things to the level of what's been really super successful for Murray and Marisa in their own courses and was not available in there. And so for the things that are not available yet, it's just because we plan to keep making it better and better. In the worksheet on visual product and branding, they're both color and font palettes. Very cool. See, you learn something every day. All righty. So I have about 1 minute left because I know a lot of people are up very late. Did I miss the link to the dopamine challenge? Oh, Catherine, I'm sorry you're having challenges. Let's I know that trying to manage the chat is crazy because I'm like, wait, I just had that link in there. Where did it go? But apparently it was a while ago. All righty. There you go. Thank you. Challenges for the challenge. Oh dear. Okay, so it's about time to wrap up. This is our last office hours call for the year 2020, which I feel is going to be like the year that shall not be named for a lot of us here. So super excited to hearing more about what you guys are going to be building in 2021. And I thank everybody for being a member of this community. And it's such a supportive and rich community where I just feel like there are so many talented people doing such great work in the world. So I appreciate you all. And we will be back in the new year with more office hours and a new challenge. So we get to talk like every day if you choose to join the challenge. And thank you, Denise. So other questions you are welcome to ask in the Facebook group if you are a Facebook sort of person, or to go ahead and shoot an email to support. You keep Rachel very busy in case there are people who are not aware. Rachel and Juan are our amazing customer service team. And so we were very fortunate. I was very fortunate to have Rachel on the call tonight. I know about that. What time will the challenge be? the calls for the challenge will be at noon. Yeah, so if anybody just wants to type any parting thoughts in about something that worked well for your course in 2020, I would love to read that. And thank you all for your participation. How many are we at? Oh, we dropped down to 50 now. But if you have any parting thoughts, put them in the chat. And if we didn't get to your question, I tried to take a lot of notes on your great ideas. But if you had questions that didn't get answered, please do support@experiencify.com. And happy new year and happy and healthy 2021. Yes, emphasis on healthy. Thank you, Sylvia and Stephanie and everyone else.
Laura, a couple of people are saying they had trouble with the link. Just email me at support if you have trouble with that link for the challenge. I'll make sure to get that to you.
Okay.
Happy New Year all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
You're welcome. All righty. Now it's time to say goodbye to all our family. C-K-Y-M-U-C. Now I'm really dating myself. All righty, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and close this one up. Yeah. All right. Bye.